Hi, I'm Bill Arnold. Thank you for listening to this podcast. There are many more podcasts available at myfaithradio.com. Your support makes this possible. Thank you. Okay, it's time to begin. Let's start a countdown. 20, 19, 18, 17. I just start the song.
Oh, don't you know, it's the Bill Arnold Show. It's Bill.
And a warm welcome to the Bill Arnold Show. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so glad I've had a great hour with Pastor David Miles and Wyatt, the Monday Afternoon Mix. Check that out if you missed it. And now I get to spend time with my friend Richard Bahr, who's here in studio. And I was thinking of three words that best describes Richard. And I think the three words are loves the unlovely. I would say that's what you do. You love the unlovely.
Well, I appreciate that.
It's really true. Richard is a lifelong resident of Minneapolis, and he also has a real passion for service, and he loves the homeless, and in a way that you can't imagine. And I want to talk to him about that. But I first want to spend a little time, Richard, just asking you about your life in terms of how you spend your day, your quiet time, how you spend time in the Word, your disciplines. I remember once you said you'd pray for me, and then you pulled out a sheet of paper and wrote my name on the list, and it was a very long list with a lot of little names on it. And I thought, boy, I just got added to Richard Bahr's prayer list, and that's a big deal. That meant something to me. I mean, that was like, you didn't just casually say that.
How that began was, so I came to Christ in the year 2000, so it's been 25 years now. And I grew up in a Christian home, but it's just that I hadn't surrendered to Jesus until 2000. So people would say, or I would observe how they would say when there was some sort of a issue they were laying out, and another person would respond by saying, I'll pray for you. Or
right.
whatever. And maybe it's the cynic in me, but I kept thinking, I wonder how often that actually happens, that they actually recall, decide to do that. So I started getting serious about it, started writing it down, I don't know, probably a couple, 2-3 years in that. So let's say it's been 22 or 23 years, and I would keep a list. And then that would give me an opportunity as I would pray for it. Then a lot of times, maybe in the morning or whatever, I might text that person and say,
Nice.
Hey, how's that going, or whatever's going on with them, to support them. I think everybody likes to think that, other people think of them. Well, that first year, there were so many things that seemed to be God clearly moving. I didn't want to lose track of that, so I actually took those off the list, and I started another list with prayers answered. So that's been my habit now for 23 years or so, and I've kind of lost track, probably 8 or 9 typewritten pages of where God, to me, seems to have clearly moved through, not because of my prayers, but for people that I've prayed for.
Right.
And not that I'm trying to keep score on God, but it's encouraging to me. It's encouraging me to see the journey. And there's been a number of people that have been on that list, more than once, So the other habit that I've learned is when I typically won't say to somebody, I'll pray for you at some point. I'll ask them 2 questions instead. And in the circles that I'm in, there are people that are hurting, people that are struggling, people that are anxious, people that are afraid. So I hear a lot of hard things. So I'll ask 2 questions after they've kind of laid on me what the hurt is. I'll say, well, if you could say anything to God right now, like what would that be? What would you want to tell him? And I found that to be a very disarming question, because it's almost like it's hypothetical. It's like, I'm not really telling it to God, but if I were,
right.
I would say this. And after they've laid that on me, I'll say, well, we could do that right now, actually, if you'd like. And I've done that for, I don't know, more than 10 years.
Nice.
And I had one lady decline the second question. I used to love the fact that there was like a perfect record, but the honest truth is that there was one lady that said, yeah, no, I'm good. But because I just love to be able to pray for people on that spot, because I think that is, well, there's just too many times, and I was just thinking about that today. There's just too many times that we have good ideas or we get prompted to do something, and how many of us say yes all the time? I mean, none of us say yes. I don't say yes all the time. But when we get prompted by the Holy Spirit to do something, to move, to say something, to stop and help somebody, I think it's a great honor to God when we do that. It's a way to honor Him. It's a way to honor the other person. And, I may have told this before, but I think it was in 2016 I decided to pray to be inconvenienced, and I pretty quickly, that
prayer got answered quickly.
Yeah, I pretty quickly figured out within the first few weeks that the way I was going to be inconvenienced was to stop and see panhandlers, as many as I could. And I think I maybe talked about this in an earlier program, but anyway, the end of the story was that was what I attempted to do, and I didn't do it 100% of the time, but I was well into the 90s. I missed a handful of people. And I was traveling all over the world, all over the country at that point. So, I mean, I was going to some crazy places where I'm stopping to see panhandlers and visiting them and giving them a little change or whatever I had.
Mm-hmm.
And, just because I wanted to exercise that muscle of really when I'm prompted by the Holy Spirit to do something, to try to say yes as often as I could.
Richard, if you are recording answers to prayers and how God is working in people's lives that you are praying for, I think it's a wonderful thing to build testimonies to God's faithfulness.
He is faithful.
I know He is, but I mean, you're recording it.
Yeah.
And that's a good reminder, isn't it?
It is for me personally, yes. I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's just my little reminder to myself, but I need that. I feel like I need that.
No, I agree. Richard Bahr is my guest. In addition to his incredible work of service, he has written a couple books. We're not necessarily talking about them, but I want to attach them to you, because you can go to his website and find out more about them. And his website is richardbahr, BAHR.com, richardbahr.com. And one is called Amazed, Why the Humanity of Jesus Matters. And the other one is called Those People, the True Character of the Homeless. Now, there is a lot of opportunities coming up once we get into Thanksgiving and Christmas that people say now's the time to go do that one act of service, and you do it every day practically.
I appreciate, I don't know how many years you've permitted me to be on your program about this time of the year, but it's been multiple years. And I'm always so grateful to the station and to you for that, because this is a time of the year that many of us, our thoughts turn to other people and people in need around Thanksgiving and around Christmas. That's a great thing. But again, that's that prompting. It's the prompting of the Holy Spirit saying, I ought to serve, and where should I serve? We're seeing that now in our ministries right now. I just had a couple of people over the weekend say, can we come down and serve on Thanksgiving? We'd love to do that. So here's a tip. When you feel that movement of the Holy Spirit, you feel that prompting to go serve somewhere, and you have this grand idea that you wanted to be dead on the holiday, how about considering doing it a different time?
I agree, Richard. I was talking to Wyatt about that in the green room before, and I sometimes wonder if somebody wants to serve like the day before Thanksgiving or right around Christmas. Are they doing that for others, or are they doing that for them?
Yeah.
I say that very gently.
Yeah, we're not trying to call anybody out when we say that. But the reason I think we bring it up, Bill, is, and I'll call myself out on this, is sometimes I can fall into that category as well. You feel good about it. You feel good that you're helping or doing something.
But is that for you, or is it for the others? Or both?
It's a fair question to ask.
Well, let's ask Richard, because he's the expert.
What do you think?
So every time somebody comes and serves, we've got a bunch of new volunteers in our breakfast ministry, right?
Which is amazing, by the way.
It is amazing.
7 days a week, starts at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, we now have over 60 people to staff that, all volunteers throughout the week, throughout the course of the month.
Yeah.
I mean, I there's no explanation for how this happens.
Yes, there is.
Well, there's one explanation for how this happens. But with the new people that we have, when they come down, I the thing I have to think is that, to myself is that I came for the first time too. So this just happens to be their first time. So maybe the first time is, smack dab on a holiday.
Oh, sure.
Or whatever. But I would always, I would always hope that God would stir in their hearts to be able to, return. I have found in my personal experience and the experience of so many of the faithful people that serve in the ministries that we lead, that it's that regular kind of drumbeat of that sacrificial service on that regular basis is what is really transformative in our lives. God makes use of that. He doesn't waste that. He makes use of that sacrifice, like our sacrifice is to get up, early in the morning. We have to get there at 4:30 and cook and prep for an hour.
You have to arrive at 4:30?
We have to arrive at 4:30 a.m. Yeah, arrive at 4:30 a.m., cook and prep for an hour, serve for an hour, clean up for about 20 minutes. So that's 2.4 hours.
Okay.
And so hence the name of the ministry. We have tithed of our time if we have served in that breakfast ministry. And but again, these people want to come down and serve on Thanksgiving. I'm like, man, we're flush with volunteers that day. Like, people be stepping on each other if we took on more people. So I think the better thing is honor the prompting that you might have to serve during the holidays. That's a very real thing. It's a terrific thing. But if you're going to serve at a homeless shelter or a kitchen or a food shelf, whatever it might be, maybe find out what other days that they have available. Ask them what they need.
Ooh, great point. If I do volunteer, if someone does volunteer, what should they expect? What would they anticipate? Because the first time you're going to do it, you might be nervous.
I ask the volunteers that we orient one primary question every single time. What surprised you? What surprised you about today? And the most common answer is, now just to give some context, I'm referring to a breakfast ministry where we're serving unhoused people that are living in a temporary shelter. They, every single thing that they own in this world is typically in a backpack or a foot locker. They have to leave during the course of the day, come back in the evening. They have no permanent residence. The most surprising thing to most of our new volunteers is that people were friendly. People were thankful. People smiled at me. People were gracious. That's the thing that surprises them, because I think the expectation is, and I think unfortunately when we characterize the homeless, and I've been guilty of this too, like when I was promoting, the last book, and we would have pictures out on social media, and characterizing the homeless to try to get people to read this book. It's always these kind of sad sack people that are, look all dirty and filthy and sad and crabby. And there are some people, of course, that are like that. But it's an overgeneralization, and it's frequently incorrect.
It's amazing that people that end up homeless, and there's no one size fits all, is there?
Everybody's got a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got a story, and you won't know what the story is unless you take time to get close to it.
Mm-hmm. But if there's drugs, alcohol involved, that might be something that gets very much in the way to getting to know somebody.
To get to know them?
Yes.
You mean?
Yes, because that might scare people.
Yeah. So
Do you have money for me for drugs?
Yeah.
That's what I really need today.
You talking about like panhandlers? Or?
Sure. Or people that you would meet at the breakfast line.
Yeah, so I have a pretty hard and fast rule that I don't attempt to have deep conversations with people that are under the influence. Sometimes I feel bad about that, because some of these are men that know me well.
Right.
And they might be inebriated, and they really, really, really want a hug, and they really, really, really want to unload on me about something. And I'm like, dude, I tell you what, here's when I'm coming back. Do me a favor, let's be clean when we do that and clear-eyed. And then I promise you, I'll give you all the time that you need.
Yeah.
Just because it seems to be kind of a futile effort. And I guess I don't want to do my part to encourage that either.
No, I agree. We're going to take a little break and be right back with Richard Bahr. He is a incredible servant. He has a passion for service. He not only is involved in so many facets of helping the homeless, but one that he is doing is it called 2.4? 2.4 Ministries, which is a daily breakfast and fellowship at a Minneapolis homeless shelter. And it's a fantastic organization, and it's amazing all that he does to serve. If you have a question or comment, it is welcome, 877-933-2484. We'll be right back. Hi, podcast listener. I'm Bill Arnold, and my theme song says, "What's for dinner?" And like when I'm grilling, I'm paying really close attention. And I know that ideal second to get the food off the grill. Like all good and ideal timings in life, right now would be an ideal time to be a cheerful giver to Faith Radio. Give now to support this podcast so that more people in more places might come to saving faith in Jesus and grow in their relationship and become a fully devoted follower. Click the link in the show notes or give now at myfaithradio.com. My friend Richard Bahr is here with me in studio. He's written a couple of books, but he's got a real love for the unlovely. He serves and loves on the homeless. And, you probably don't see yourself as a judgmental person, but we do have some ideas about the homeless. Sometimes we think, well, they're addicted to drugs, or they're alcoholics, or they're mentally ill, or they're crazy, or maybe they're even criminals, or all of the above. And so we have to be careful, because if we're going to get to know them, it's going to take a little bit of trust and patience and leaning on the Lord to help.
An interesting thing about being judgmental is that, so let's just say all of those things are true about a given individual. So what do they deserve from us? And where's their place in this world? And how does God see them? Does he love them any less or any differently than he loves me? I mean, I don't think so. And I think somebody that I have the great blessing to come from some hard places in my life. And I'm so grateful that God's delivered me from from a number of different illnesses and sin areas in my life. And I don't feel like I was beyond the reach of a loving God the Father, that could wrap his arms around me and deliver me. So I guess who is it that I'm to say that somebody that maybe has a criminal background or somebody that has addiction, and they just might, that's their season right now that they're in that. Mm-hmm. And I've been at this long enough where I've witnessed people being delivered from those things. I've witnessed people that have been unhoused and become housed, people that were addicts that are now sober, people that were not working that have held steady jobs. I've had the blessing over time to be able to watch those things happen. So who am I to decide that this person in front of me, that God's not capable of delivering them from whatever it is that they struggle with?
And for many of these people, they've chased away everyone that loved them.
Or people have left them. Yeah. That's probably, if there's one word that I would use to describe people that are unhoused or homeless, would be that they have a brokenness. Mm-hmm. That they have a brokenness. And frequently that brokenness is the connections that they have. Most of us in our lives, we have safety nets that give us maybe a false sense of security. We may have family and friends that if we're really down and out on something, you miss a paycheck, people lose jobs, that we've got some safety nets that are built in. And homeless people, oftentimes over a period of years, they've spent all of that relational capital that they have. And so they're really living life without a net, and that's why they end up where they are.
Mm-hmm. Richard, what would you say are the percentage of people that rebel against being helped? They just don't want the help. And there's a rebellious nature there. They're not unkind people, they're just stubborn.
Define help.
Yeah. I want to help you get out of this homelessness situation you're in, but this this place I'm suggesting may not be the most desirable in your eyes, but it's a place that gets you off the street, and they refuse.
So I'm going to give you a simpler example, if
good.
I could.
Oh, please.
So, and actually, it's in the Those People book. I'd done a coat drive and collected a lot of jackets, put them in the back of my truck, brought them downtown to a street where there's out front of a homeless shelter. And so my plan was to distribute these jackets. And being the organized, planful guy that I was, I had them all set aside by large, extra large, 2X, whatever, so I could quickly retrieve the jackets and pass them out. And there was quite a crowd that collected behind my truck, and I tried to get them organized a bit into a line so I could serve them one at a time. And one of the early guys in the line asked me for, I think he said an XL jacket. So I spun around, retrieved an XL jacket, handed it to him, and he looked at it and he said, "You got anything else?"
Yeah.
Now, in that moment, I'm like,
wow,
dude,
yeah,
you asked for an XL jacket. I just delivered you
an
XL jacket.
Yeah.
It's like, move along. And I was feeling this self-imposed stress of the length of this line. Like,
sure.
Like my job, I was trying to be efficient, not effective. And thank goodness I came to my senses pretty quickly and said, well, what are you looking for? And he said, well, I was hoping to get one with a hood. So I found one with a hood and I gave it to this guy. And I really felt convicted on the way home as I'm thinking about this, so the question I asked myself was that because this guy doesn't have a permanent address, what rights does he forfeit? Like, does he no longer have a favorite color?
No, he still has one.
I mean, does he
right?
Does he forfeit the right to decide that he wants a hood or not a hood or zippers or snaps
right,
or an inside pocket? I mean, is he supposed to forfeit his preferences because he doesn't have a permanent address? Like I have preferences. Like if I went to the store to go find a jacket like anybody else, there would be certain jackets I would rule out. And I would narrow it down to certain ones I wanted, and I would pick the jacket that I want. But somehow we expect that somebody that's homeless should just simply be grateful for anything that we give them. And something seems wrong to me about that. So when you talk about helping people, I think a lot of times we think we're helping people because we're making decisions on their behalf. Like if I was in your shoes, this is what I would want to happen. And we can be categorically wrong about that time and time and time again.
I was running into a homeless guy outside a theater that I was working in, and I would see him every night. And I would say to him, "How are your feet?" I said, "How are your feet?" He goes, "They're rough." I said, "Oh, so let me get you some socks." So the next day I came back, and I think I went out and bought like a $23 pair of socks that were really soft and warm, and he couldn't get over it. He couldn't believe how nice they were.
Yeah, right. Good call on the socks, by the way.
Well,
and asking about the feet.
Yeah. Well, because that's their mode of transportation, isn't it?
It is.
Their feet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually my gateway to conversations.
I learned that from you. Yeah, don't think I came up with that on my own.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But when I navigate conversations with people that are on the street or in shelter, oftentimes, Bill, it's a matter of my great hope for people is to try to make small moves and to try to set some goals for themselves. And it might be, I have frequent conversations about, do you have a case manager? Who are you talking to? When's the last time you spoke to him or her? Have you got, do you have a photo ID yet? Some of the basic things that you need to be able to be eligible for programming, housing, to get a job. I mean, basic things like that. So I just try to help people set goals to move forward. I guess honoring the fact that they may have decided that they want to be where they're at, and I don't have to like it or agree with it or think that it's where I would want to be. But at the end of the day, they're an independent human being. I mean, I have to respect the decision. And by the way, I'm perfectly comfortable, especially with people I'm in relationships, telling them that I don't agree. I mean, I've had countless conversations with people where I've said, we've been in the same place for quite a long time. What's it going to take for you to decide something different for you?
Wow. That's tough love, isn't it?
Well, I do love these guys.
I know, but would we call that tough love?
Yeah, I guess perhaps. I mean, again, that's not going to be the first thing that comes out of my mouth. But I've got long-term relationships with some.
I know.
Folks.
I like the way you phrased that too. It was kind. It was true.
Yeah,
and it was good.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes somebody is going to, they're either going into rehab or just come out of rehab, and we'll have those kind of conversations too about, where are you going? What are you going to plan to do? I just had a conversation with somebody. I served breakfast out on the street. Was it last week? And it was a young lady, actually. She'd spent the night out, and she was going to rehab, I think, on Monday. Would have been Monday this week. Yeah, and so I just asked her where she was going, what she'd done before. She actually had gone through Adult and Teen Challenge, which is a very good faith-based program.
Sure is.
She was in a long-term program. She was in a 13-month program, and it was a very interesting conversation. I just said, so you're not clean now, so tell me what happened. Like, what happened? And she gave me the most curious response. She said, I need to stop smoking cigarettes.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay, tell me more about that. She said, well, when I smoke cigarettes, that sensation of that smoke hitting the back of my throat makes me want to smoke, crack. So she's like, when I after this treatment program, I'm also going to stop smoking cigarettes because I don't want that fixation. Now, is that wise? Is that right? Is that going to be effective? I have no idea. But what I loved about that was that she's being very thoughtful about it, and she's attempting to try to figure out what to do different the next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that, and I told that. I said, I think that's fantastic that you're giving it so much thought that you intend to do something different the next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's learning how to starve sin is critical.
I love that term.
Well, so often, Richard, when I do work with guys in recovery and I'll find out they've relapsed, and I'll say, well, I'll say the same thing you asked, what happened? And they will proceed to tell me that they went to their cousin's house and they started shooting pool in the basement. And I go, is that the same cousin that you used to use with? In the same house, in the same room? Yeah, that was it. And you ended up relapsing. Huh, okay. Maybe it's a good idea not to go play pool in the cousin's house in the basement in that house.
Yeah, I mean, people fall in slippery places, right? So
they do.
I know when I was early in recovery, there were some more experienced men that had come around me and gave me some real encouragement to, change friend circles and the things we do and whatever. But so just imagine being unhoused, not being able to choose where you live or who you hang around with, and then trying to maintain a sober lifestyle. I mean, talk about incredibly, incredibly difficult. And then somehow, society places its expectations on them that you're supposed to get clean and sober, and you're supposed to do it, around a bunch of other junkies that aren't going to support what you do. I mean, it seems almost impossible. And believe it or not, it actually happens. There are actually people that get sober while they're homeless. I mean, I've seen it happen, but wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So hard. So hard. I'm so grateful that I didn't have to be in that spot.
Yeah. Because you know so many people who have been in homeless situations, Richard, are there nights when you crawl into your comfortable bed with your clean sheets after having taken a shower, and you can maybe hear a raindrop on the roof of your house, and it's nice and warm and cozy in your house, and then you have pictures and images of people who you know are outside tonight?
Every night.
Okay. I just struck a personal chord with you.
Yeah. Every night that I serve, I chaplain in the evenings, and whenever I have served downtown in the evenings and I lay down, I pray the names back of the people that I encountered during the evening as I drive home, and it's some strange combination of maybe guilt and gratitude that I feel. That's all kind of mixed together, so I don't even know what kind of a label to put on that.
That's so insightful. A mix of guilt and gratitude. I think I get it without you explaining anything else, even though I don't know if I exactly get it. Do you get it, Wyatt? The guilt and gratitude?
I get it in my own sense.
Okay,
I don't know if it's the same thing that he's talking about, but to your point, Bill, I think I get it.
I get it too, yeah. All right, we're going to take a little break and be right back with Richard Bahr. Learn more about him if you want at his website, richardbahr.com. That's BAHR, richardbahr.com. We'll be right back. I'm back with Richard Bahr, and he has a real heart for the unlovely, the homeless, the people that have nowhere to go, that don't have a permanent residence, that don't have a meal to eat. And Richard, I was curious about the food shelves around the country. Are they stocked very low? Are they out? What's the condition of those right now?
Well, with, of course, the government shutdown, which was that's not news any longer. But and many people probably heard, maybe for the first time, the term SNAP. I didn't know what that meant. So kind of that's the new term for what we used to call food stamps. And that has a lot of federal funding behind it. It's not the only source of funding, but it's a big part of the funding for SNAP in many different states. And so when that shutdown happened, and there was some confusion about the allocation of funds, whether they should have been locked up or should not have been locked up because of that. But the result was that federal funding did not go out right away for SNAP benefits. And those are benefits that many, many individuals and many families, a lot of elderly, a lot of people with school-age kids rely on that food support. It may not be the only support that they get for food, but it's a key one. And so when those benefits went away, the next support in their safety net is really to use food shelves. And so all the food shelves and the executive directors, and I talked to a number of them during that time, in my area anyway, and they were all basically getting overrun, by families, and the food shelves were getting low. We tried to do our part here where I live to muster some support from churches and from individuals to get some press. And we were grateful that there were a number of people and a number of churches that stepped up and stepped into that and did food drives, and individuals that were very generous that provided money. It's fun to do food drives because there's this tactical image of this pile of groceries sitting there. But the brutal reality is that the food shelves can use your money, and they can use your money a lot better than you can use your money. So you think you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to buy one extra bag of groceries, you're going to give that to a food shelf. You'd actually be better off to not do that. Hang on to the money, give the money to the food shelf, because it's a ratio of, it depends on the food shelf and their source, but as low as $3 to your dollar donated to as much as $10 to your dollar donated, because they have sources where they can buy product that it's very highly leveraged. And that's really what they need is dollars.
Explain that a little bit more, because I think I get what you're saying. So if I am a food shelf and I get a donation from you, I can then take that money and go buy more groceries for the food shelf based on my ability to buy?
Well, they're not paying retail for the retail prices for the items that they buy, because they've got other sources. There's some large ones like Second Harvest, and I know like down in Florida where we're at, there's Harry Chapin food shelves. But anyway, there's these large food aggregators that will aggregate food, and then they'll redistribute it among places that will distribute it directly to those that will use it. And so they often purchase it, but they purchase it at a great discount. So rather than going to the local grocery store and spending $100, if you gave that $100, it's possible that food shelf could actually purchase the value of $1,000 worth of groceries.
Wow. Yeah. So if I wanted to make a donation of kind to a food shelf, how would I go about doing that?
I'm sure every food shelf that I know of has a website.
Okay.
And so if you have one in your area, and they all got a donate button, and you can click right on the donate button. And most of them are 501c3. So if you have the ability to take that as a deduction on your tax return, you're able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And that's all over the country, of course.
All over the country.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more about the people that you connect with who are homeless, so they don't have an address, there are plenty of people that don't know what to do when they encounter them. Do I make eye contact? Do I smile? What do I do? How do I encounter them lovingly?
So, it depends.
I like your answer, just so you know. I like that answer.
I would say it depends. I get this question a lot. I would not ask somebody or suggest that somebody should do something that feels like it puts them in harm's way.
Of course.
So a lot of women will say to me, and not exclusively women, but people will say, I'm frightened to roll my window down. I'm frightened to engage with somebody standing by the side of the road. And I'll just tell you that I have complete respect for that. Like I wouldn't ask you to do something you wouldn't do. At the same time, I will tell you that I've been told on countless occasions how much it hurts to have people spend all day trying not to look at you. Just think about that. So I was at a coffee shop today. I had a meeting with somebody, and I went and talked to the barista, and she took my money and she smiled at me and greeted me, and I'm part of the club, so she pulled my number up and called me by name even, right?
Yeah.
I guess I just take that for granted.
Yes, you do.
During the course of the day, if you're homeless, not only does no one know your name, but nobody will actually make eye contact with you frequently. And that hurts because homeless people, they're not stupid. I mean, what I mean by that, I don't mean to use such a shocking term, but they know where they are in society. Mm-hmm. They know where their place is, and they know how they're thought of. And all we do by ignoring them or attempting to ignore them is just reinforce that in them. And it's really devastating. So to come back to your question about panhandlers, there are several things that we can do. And one of them is for the person that is concerned about rolling a window down or engaging directly with somebody. And this is difficult to do, but I would encourage you, then maybe you just want to keep score on that. Like every time I see a homeless person, I'm gonna bookmark a website on my browser, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna donate X amount of money. Every time I see one, instead of roll my window, I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that. So that would be a really kind of a passive way to engage with somebody. The other thing that we can do, so the other kind of tangential question of what you're asking is that should I give money? So that can be a problem for people. And the answer is it depends. I think that that's a question that really should be raised up in prayer. And as a matter of fact, I just had an encounter yesterday with somebody. My wife and I were driving, and we were in her vehicle. And I've got my vehicles like staged with things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
stuff to give out the window, or
sorry, Carla. So she does not. Okay, so I had to apologize to my wife in case
I saw that. Yeah.
Well so hers was not. So here we are rolling up on this guy that's flying a sign, and I'm like reaching around in the door trying to find it, and I'm like, I don't have anything here. Wrong car. so I dug into my pocket. And I pulled out the first bill I found was like $10 or something like that, and rolled it down and said, "Hey man, have a blessed day." And I gave him that money because I wanted to engage with him. So part of the thing is that, are they going to use it for nefarious reasons? What are they going to do with this money? So that becomes the big question about what am I accountable for? Am I accountable for the chain of control of I gave this bill and then I'm supposed to follow him around and see how he spent it? Or is he a fully grown human being and he's responsible for his own decisions? Now, you can back that up a step. So I'll tell you what I do. I mean, I do a couple of things. One is that I'll keep hygiene kits and socks and some things like that in my car. And I know, Bill, you've done that for a number of years too. And I appreciate that so much.
Learned it from you.
Yeah, and I also keep gift cards. So I'll keep a fast food gift card in my car. Now, I also know there's a street value for gift cards, so there's about 50 cents in the dollar. So if I give a $10 gift card, I know that somebody can hack it for $5. I mean, but again, it's one step removed from the cash. I'm maybe tempting them less to do something wrong with that. And in my case, I tape it to a little message track, and I hand it to them, and I say, "Hey, man, here's $10 on this card, and there's a little message from my boss that you can read while enjoying the meal. And they look at the track and they kind of smile like, oh, okay, I get the joke, whatever. So it just gives us a little way to connect.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. We're going to take a little break and be right back with Richard Bahr. If you have a question or comment, if you've had encounters with people that would make you question what the right thing to do is, and you want to ask Richard what your situation was or how we could help, we'd love to hear from you. 877-933-2484. You can learn more about Richard and his amazing ministry at richardbahr.com. He spells his last name B-A-H-R. We'll be right back.
Psst, have you heard the news? Listening just got better with the new and improved Faith Radio app. No more restrictions, no more static, no more missing your favorite shows. Now, listen when you want, where you want, and share with everyone. When you need hope, encouragement, Jesus, it's right there on your phone. Text the word app to 877-933-2484 and follow the link or search Faith Radio Network in your app store.
I'm back with Richard Bahr. You can learn more about him at richardbahr.com. He's got a real love for service, the homeless, feeding the people who are on the margins, sharing the love of Jesus with them. And God uses the ordinary to do the extraordinary. And I'd put you in the same category, Richard. God did amazing things through you with a very simple first step.
Yeah, put me in the ordinary category, right?
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. I didn't see this coming. 18 years ago or 17 years ago, I forget even how long it's been. But we, my wife and I and our team are in an extraordinary place, and we're doing extraordinary things.
And you say that humbly. You're not bragging.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary to me. Like,
that's what I mean.
I can't believe some of the people, some of the situations, some of the lives that have been changed that we've encountered. So if I wind it all the way back to the beginning, I was in a Bible study, men's Bible study on Saturday mornings at my church. And then after the large teaching session, we would break into small groups, and there was one man in there that God broke his heart over the homeless, and he decided to serve a simple breakfast out of the back of his van.
Wow.
And he had been doing that for a number of months, I think, at the time, and I'm forgetting even the details of the story. But so in that small group session, in that moment, in that day, on that Saturday morning, all those years ago, I was one, but I wasn't the only one. There were other men there, too, that kind of raised their hand and said, man, would you like some help? And he accepted, and I still remember I picked Sunday. I said, okay, I can serve Sunday mornings. And we just came alongside this guy to help him. And that was the beginning. That was the step of obedience. It was one decision. That's it. It was one obedient decision to say yes, to step alongside my friend. And it's been so long ago, I can't even remember if it was more about, I don't know that I really even thought, well, this would be a great way to serve God and my fellow human beings. I think it was like, I like this guy, and I'm kind of curious about seeing what this is about. Guys like a little adventure, like, a homeless shelter. It's 4:30 in the morning. It's like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do this.
Love it.
And, and that's really where the Holy Spirit entered in, and that was where God broke my heart. And it wasn't long after serving in that on a regular basis, not just that one time. There was a first time, but on that regular basis, making that commitment to continue to show up and be faithful in that God broke my heart over the needs of the homeless. The other thing that he did, which was very interesting, was that because of my faithful service by being there regularly, people knew me. People knew me. They knew my name. Mm-hmm. And I began to recognize something like, oh, it's the same guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got to know their name. And then when we'd kind of finish serving, I'd take a cup of coffee and I would meet with some of these guys and I would learn a little more about them. So God began to weave these connections and these relationships and these friendships. And all along the way, there's been steps of faith. There's been these moments, these calls. Another one was we haven't talked about it much here, but my wife and I have a nonprofit called Threshold to New Life, and that's more of a restoration ministry where we actually help people avoid homelessness by helping them keep the housing that they have, or helping them obtain permanent housing by providing small grants that usually the client has some vested interest in, and then we do, and we come together, usually using other social service partners. We put these packages together, and we restore people so that they no longer owe any rent, okay? And, the funny thing is, and we haven't talked much about my past for a while, but I was a CEO of a high-tech company for 21 years, and I was the visionary, and I was the guy who had the big ideas and all that. So the funny thing is that we read a book. It was called Radical by David Platt, about having a radical faith. We read that in our small group. And who did God give the idea to start a nonprofit ministry? My wife. So God actually inspired Carla. So she comes to me and she's like, we need to get you organized. Because at that point I was doing the jackets out of the back of the truck. Like I said earlier, I was doing all these kind of spot things to try to provide relief to people. And she's like, no, we need to get you organized. And I was just slightly offended by that. Like, organized, like, have you seen the back of my truck? I've got bins for hats and gloves and this, she goes, no, we need an organization. I'm like, oh, okay. Going back further than that, God had perfectly prepared me for that. I actually was on a founding board of a nonprofit to help start it, write the bylaws. I was the president of it for 16 years. So you see, going all the way back, God, he prepared me for that moment so that when she brought that up, I knew exactly what the next steps were. And we stepped into that.
It's spectacular. It's just spectacular.
God is spectacular.
Well, I know, but you're a CEO for 21 years. Shouldn't you be playing golf at the country club versus serving?
I do that.
Okay.
I do that.
All right.
I do that.
What's your handicap?
6.
Wow. I didn't.
He
Wyatt
answered that quickly.
Yeah, he did.
And he was ready.
Wyatt wants to
It's
go
actually
out with
6.7 actually right now.
We'll have to play sometime.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. What are you, Wyatt, a 5?
I used to be a 5. I'm like a 8 now.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you strokes, but
Be a good battle. No, straight up, absolutely.
So Chris makes a comment. My last encounter was walking into a store and someone sleeping next to the door with a sign that says, I'm hungry. On the way out, I stopped next to him and I asked, would you like food? He said, yes, anything would be good. Tell me what you like, she said. So he said a hamburger and fries. He had water. He was so grateful.
wow. You know what the best part of that was?
What?
She asked him what he wanted.
I know.
Chris, you're amazing. Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that. That's a great example. One of the things that our guests at our daily breakfast tell us is that we have a limited menu, but we always ask them how they want it prepared. So it's like, you want grits, you want oatmeal, you want this cereal, you want that cereal. How many scoops of sugar? Do you want butter or milk?
Okay. Yep.
And the feedback that we get is that it's one of the few places that people ask, how do I want it?
Interesting. Versus here it is, take it or leave it.
Here it is. You're homeless.
Yeah.
I mean,
be grateful.
Be grateful.
Yeah.
Chris, you did amazing. That's terrific. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And then she finishes by saying, he made my day. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the joy of serving.
That is the joy of serving.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
All right. So we're looking, we've got, like you said, Richard, some holidays coming up, and you've inspired people. What is the next thing they should do or the next step they should take to get involved?
Well, wherever you happen to be, and I know that this broadcast is all over the nation, there are people that are hurting, people that are hungry, people that have less, people that God loves dearly. And, I've been reading the book of James lately. Man, James would have been a tough pastor to have, I think.
Yeah.
First of all, he had to grow up with his older brother Jesus, who never got anything wrong. And,
right.
James probably is like, what? How come I'm always getting grounded? But But James was he really calls us to act, act in our faith, and not to be confused that's our path to salvation. But once we have been, we're really called to step into that in that life of faith and to live out our faith.
Yeah.
And so this is a particular time of the year that we ought to be doing that we need to be doing that.
Richard, thank you so much. It's been a great hour. Big news at YouTube. The Tanner Morgan interview that I did is releasing tonight on YouTube if you want to check it out. But that's our show for the day. You can learn more about Richard at his website, richardbahr.com. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for supporting me and Faith Radio and Wyatt. We'll do this again tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Programming like this is made available through your support. Information available at myfaithradio.com.